All right. Welcome, everybody, and happy Friday. We've made it through another week, which is a miracle. We just work on my audio because my two small children mess around with all my little knobs here on a regular basis. Welcome, guys. My name is Patrick. I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts, and I've been doing that for years and years and years. What are these sessions about? What is the agenda? What are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? I'm sure I emailed you. I can't even remember what I emailed you was the subject matter of this, but I have to run 3 of these a week. And in order to keep my own sanity, I sort of like to bob and weave a little bit on the subject matter material. So that's the game plan for today, just bob and weave a little bit because a topic has come up a bunch internally with customers this week. And you know what? It's a good topic because it applies to all of you. It absolutely applies to all of you. And the context of it is, how do you turn buying questions into selling conversations? And in my experience, most artists and photographers are not very good at this. You're too timid. You're too scared. You don't recognize what they are. You don't want to appear salesy. Some examples of buying questions. Your work is beautiful. You should sell it. This is incredible. What an amazing piece of work. This reminds me of a place I used to go when I was a kid. The colors on this are amazing. Does this come in canvas? Is this for sale? All examples of buying conversations, and you could potentially, or buying questions rather, and you could argue that just about any compliment on your work is an opportunity, is a buying question. It is incumbent upon you, the artist, if you want to have a growing business, to learn to get better at how you turn those into selling conversations. And really, the reason the word conversations is there is because that is the whole point of it. Like, you need to start a conversation. And if you don't ask, you're never going to get into the selling conversation. And it happens to all artists, all photographers all the time. You get complimented on your work and you say thanks and then you move on, or maybe every once in a while you squeak out, oh, thanks. Yeah, it's for sale too. It's for sale too. Which is about the enthusiasm that I normally see people talking about it with. And it drives me nuts, okay? It absolutely drives me nuts. It's got to stop. It's not easy to do at first. I get that, and it takes a little patience. Thankfully, okay, the modern interwebs today, and specifically the #1 photo and art marketing social media platform that exists, i.e. Instagram, proffers us a number of opportunities to do this, okay? To turn the buying questions into selling conversations. And again, the whole objective of this is just a conversation. So I want to rant about this for a little bit today. Then after we're done with that, by virtue of ranting on that, I'm going to have to show you some little tricks and some hacks and some things that you can do on Instagram that you can apply to a couple of different things. All right. And then as a final, Deborah, you have to go in the upper right-hand corner and go to view and go speaker. There's like a little, here, I'll just show you. This will be, everybody might as well do this now because I think I can do it. I can't remember. Is there a way to follow hosts? I can't even remember. Just go to speaker. So when you're in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom window, there's this little thing said view and a bunch of little dots. You just have to put that on speaker. And what that'll do is that'll make my face bigger, which is horrifying, but you'll at least be able to see the phone. All right. So where was I going with that? So I want to talk about this subject broadly. Then I want to show you some tactical stuff on Instagram. Then we can get into some individual Q&A where you can ask anything about anything. The whole point of these sessions is we believe what we're doing right here, getting in a Zoom, is the second most effective form of communication that exists in today's day and age. #1, of course, would be to sit down face to face, but we are all geographically fixed on different parts of this planet, so that is not possible. So the next best thing is getting in a video chat like that. And so this is what we do as a business at Art Storefronts for you guys to figure out why do these people email me so much? Why is pricing not on the website? Do they know what they're talking about? Can they potentially help me? That's what this session exists for. If you find that that is the case, you think we might be able to help you, then we have these buttons all over our website. We have them all over the place. There's too many of them. I actually don't like them, but you can request a demo, get a tour of the software, all the bells, all the whistles, all the plans, everything else. But I much prefer the teaching because it's more fun. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And what I want you guys to leave here today is saying, I have a new and a new tactical plan on how to turn buying questions into selling conversations. And my game plan is I'm going to start doing this, okay? I'm going to start doing this, and I know how to do this on Instagram, I know how to do this on Facebook, and how best to play it, right? And I'll make it super interactive and meta and weird. My camera angle is too high, says Bruce. There's nothing I can do about that, Bruce. Okay, I got a gigantic monitor, and I don't have anywhere to put the webcam. I don't know what to do. It's an issue, I know. But this is advanced. First of all, okay, not only, Bruce, is my camera too high, but I can put my cell phone on the thing. I can take myself off here, put myself over here, take myself off there, screen share. So it's not that cool. I get it, but it's still kind of cool. All right, it's still kind of cool. Bruce is like, okay. I'm going to get moved on Fridays, Bruce. Okay. Sometime later this afternoon, there's going to be an alcoholic beverage in my future, and I've earned it this week, and I'm looking forward to it. Now then, turning buying questions into selling conversations. So I already alluded to the myriad of questions that come in, right? And like the number one venue that they come in is in social media in today's day and age, but they'll also come in via your email. They'll also come in-person discussions. And the whole ball game of this whole thing, you guys, and I've taken myself out of the picture. Somebody tell me. I can only put this on my second monitor. Hold on. The whole ball game of this, like, what is the objective? The objective, yes, of course, is ultimately to sell your art. But really the objective is just to get in a conversation. If you can just get into a conversation, you have won, right? And, you know, I always use that example of, you know, the story Robin Williams has in Good Will Hunting, where it's like, you know, the girl of his dreams walks into the bar and he has a ticket to the World Series and he like slides a ticket across the table and he says like, no, I'm staying. It's like no different than, you know, you're in your dating days and that beautiful person walks into your life somewhere and they're about to walk out. And the math say if they walk out, they're not ever coming back. You got one shot, right? So you got to go up there and try to ask for the phone number or a way to contact them or whatever. That's essentially what it is. It's that same relationship type of a context when you were dating and you saw someone, you crossed eyes. When someone asks you a buying question, the whole objective is just to start a conversation. That is a very important thing to understand. At the high level, if I can just turn this into a conversation, I've won. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't know, right? Your work is beautiful, Joy. It really is incredible. You should try and sell it. Is that person really want to buy it? Or is that person just being nice, right? How do we know? And how we know is by starting the conversation. That's it. And it's like anything else. It's like a muscle, right? Like you try to do a push-up and you can only do 3 push-ups and then you start doing, 3 a day and then you're up to 10. Like you get better and better and better as this goes. But ultimately, remember what the goal of it is. It's starting the conversation. And here is the important thing to understand in this whole entire thing. You don't have to be pushy. You don't have to be salesy. You can be in your language. There's room for a little nuance. I don't care. Just start the conversation. If you don't do anything, you don't start the conversation. So when you get these questions in person, when you get these questions on social media, when someone sends you a direct message to your Instagram box, unless it's about NFTs, which is a total scam, delete those. Unless you respond, you're not going to start the conversation. So again, what are some examples? This is incredible. I love the colors. What a gorgeous shot. What an amazing piece. That reminds me of this place I used to hang out when I was a kid. Oh my gosh. My husband and I love it. All examples of buying questions, okay? There's an intent there, and they're saying they like you. And just to be clear about this, because some of my customers ask, like, does this mean I should respond to everyone that likes my photo on Facebook? No, that's not a buying question, okay? Everybody scrolls through Facebook, scrolls through Instagram, and likes things at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's nice little ego boost, but ignore that. We want to focus on these positive pieces of feedback, right? In the real world thing that is hard to do in this is, I'm gonna give an example. Patrick, your work is amazing. This piece really is incredible. That was what they said to me. Thank you. Just to let you know, it's for sale on my website. Are you interested? That awkward pause after the fact is the whole ball game. That's what you need to learn, is the awkward pause after the fact. Now, that's much easier to do in a social media context because it's not in real life. But when you're face-to-face, that awkward pause is the utter, total, and complete ball game. So that's the idea. You don't have to be salesy. You just have to let them know that it's available and that it's for sale and try to start a conversation, okay? Now, I'm going to show you how brilliant of a thing this is on Instagram. And in order for me to do that, I need to sort of explain what Instagram Reels are. I'm not sure how many of you guys are marketing on Instagram or you've heard of Instagram or you've been at it for a long time. But no one understands, well, most don't understand that the single, solitary, most powerful, most important, most impactful profile social media network, if you want to grow an art business right now, is absolutely Instagram, okay? It is a giant visual search engine. And what do you guys all create and trying to sell? Visual things, right? So it makes sense. So understanding that, I like to take everything to Instagram and start there, right? And so I want to show you, what I'm going to have to do is break this down, is I'm going to show you a number of different ways to do it. And it doesn't matter, again, if it comes from email, it comes in real life, or it comes on Instagram, or it comes on Facebook. I'm going to just show you on Instagram, and then we'll slowly expand out on some various different ways that you can do that, right? Now, to start out with, okay, I am going to go to the home button on Instagram, and you can see I pressed home. If I go to the little person button in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'll just say this, I talk really fast. I know that. I've tried slowing down. It just didn't work. So I will send you the replay after the fact. And if you're like, what did he do there? That was too fast. I didn't hear it. I didn't really get it. Don't worry. I'm going to send you the video. You can watch a little bit of the video, pause it, and then go and do this on your phone. But I am going to go in here. What was I just going to do? Yes. So what I need to show you is the green screen technique on Instagram, okay? And I'm going to go through this slowly, and I'm going to talk about it because most people don't understand it. I'm now at the very bottom of Instagram. We see this. Down at the bottom is the little person icon, and what this brings up, get out of there, is this little plus sign. And so if I press this plus sign, I need to press that again, or 3 times. Of course, when I'm demonstrating, now it's not working. It's because there's a bunch of people interacting with my Instagram profile. So when I press that plus thing, it says Reel, Post, Story, Story, Highlight, Live, Guide. I'm going to go ahead and do Reel, okay? And yes, I have an actual green screen behind me, all right? But ignore my green screen setup, okay? I'm doing about 17 different things at once. You don't need any of this. You can see if I move 2 clicks over, press the wrong button there. I have to start over. By the way, in case you're worried about things going weird, got it. All right, so if I click this thing over 2 buttons, this puts me on the green screen. And you can see what Instagram has instantaneously done is act like I have a real green screen behind me. Again, ignore the fact that I have one behind me. You don't need to do this. You can do it anyway. And it's now inserted an image in the background with me in the foreground, right? And where did that image come from? So if I click change background above the green thing, there's a bunch of random backgrounds that it gives you by default. But the beautiful thing is that you can switch right over to your camera roll, right? And so if I switch to my camera roll, I can grab any image that I have on my phone, and I'll grab this cool one of the chef because I like it. I can close this down, and you can see it's now put me on top of this chef image, and there I am in the foreground, right? And so if I press this green button, I can start talking and make an Instagram reel, which is a piece of content for Instagram, in which I talk about this, that, the other thing. How you doing? Great, fantastic to see you. I press stop. I can start talking and make an Instagram reel, which is so I could have posted that to Instagram in 2 seconds, right? And I'll close that just for a second. So you can literally screenshot any piece of anything that you've got. It can be in a Facebook app, it could be an Instagram, you could take a nice email that somebody wrote you and asked a question. Any question that you get really at all, you could take a screenshot of, come in here, get ready to make the reel, go and grab the green screen thing, grab the background, okay, and you have the ability to reply to that person like directly. Like this is when I took a screenshot of the podcast, right? So that is a very, very simple way to respond to a comment that you have coming in from anywhere. I mean, somebody could write you a handwritten thank you note and put the question in there, and you could take a photo of that with your phone and respond to it, right? Now, that seems interpersonal, Patrick. Why are you talking about that? This is sort of an onion I'm gonna peel back on a number of different layers. So in this case, let's say I got an email or I got a comment on social media or it was on Facebook, a direct message, wherever it is. If you grab your phone, you can screenshot it, do this green screen thing, and now up here would be this person's buying question. Hey, Patrick, I'm interested in such and such. Hey, Patrick, that's a beautiful piece of work. This is incredible. The colors remind me of, right? And so with that, you realize you essentially have like a little television studio in your pocket. And the green screen is not perfect. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Everyone does it this way. This is just how it is. It's the rules. It's kind of freeing, right? Because you don't ever have to worry about what your background is. You can do this anywhere. The thing just works. It can be at day. It can be at night. You can be in the car waiting for your kids. You could be anywhere, in line at the supermarket if you were bold enough. So that's an important first thing to understand, okay? Next, I want to talk about comments on Instagram Reels. And this is where it really, really gets powerful. If you are someone that is creating Instagram Reels, and if you get a comment on an Instagram Reel, you can respond to that comment, and Instagram will automatically grab the comment and put it right above your head in the Reel Creator. Now, what this looks like, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it in the real world here. Let's just see how I'm going to do this. I know what I'll do here. So let me give you an example. So here's Nick. Here, this is our CEO.
Love it. Love it. Congrats on that. Keep doing it.
You see it is. So somebody left that comment on social media, and he went to create a reel, and he responded to it, and it automatically puts the comment right above your head or wherever you want, and then you can reply to it, okay? Not only can you reply to it, but when you do reply to it, it will alert that person that you replied to it, as well as show it to your entire feed, right? Or whoever's following you or whoever you're lucky enough to reach with that particular piece of content. And this is just an amazing, amazing thing, because what it allows you to do is significantly increase the number of Instagram Reels that you're creating on a weekly basis, and none of you are creating enough, okay? I probably created myself more this week than every single solitary person on this thing combined. I bet I created more this morning than every single solitary one of you on here combined, okay? We all need to be doing it a whole heck of a lot more, because all of us want to grow our art businesses without leaving our houses. There is an incredible way to do that. It's called Instagram, and here is a great technique, tactic, and hack to do so, as well as, okay, turn buying questions into selling conversations. Now, just like in the real world, you sort of take what's on the ground and you turn that into how you behave. Like, you know, if you're in a crowded bar, you might yell a little bit. If you're sitting face to face with someone, it might be a little bit more. Each situation calls for a different scenario. So when you guys get these buying questions throughout your whole entire marketing landscape, some are going to come in person, some are going to come via email, some are going to come during Facebook, some are going to come on Instagram, wherever it may be. It's sort of incumbent upon you how you want to deal with it, okay? Now, if it's in person, face-to-face, we all know how to deal with that, right? Let them know you have stuff for sale. If they want anything, however you want to do that conversation. And if it's helpful for me to go through individual examples, throw that in the chat and I'll do it. If you get a comment on social media, you sort of have some options, right? Like, if it was on Facebook, you could click the little reply, or you could click send message, right? If it's on Instagram, you could reply to the comment directly. You could click send message, so you're in an Instagram direct message with them, or you could reply in this public format in which I'm doing it. And so you have some flexibility in how you do it and how you reply, right? And I'll do something here which is extremely meta, because I had somebody ask me this exact same question on Instagram earlier today. So I'm now going to demonstrate how this whole technique works by answering the exact same question I just went over in here. I mean, this is turning my brain into noodles, but this is the beautiful thing about technology today. So here's where it is. All right. So I'm going to filter. I want to go comments, and I'm going to scroll down here. Hold on, because I know come on. Okay, boom. So this is the comment. So I got to find it on this reel.
So this is essentially a question on how you take.
Oh, shut up, you blowhard.
Buying questions.
So, okay. Now I've hit reply on his comment, and his comment is, do you respond in public on the reel or on the side with the DM? Do you respond back with your voice or text on the direct message on the DM, right? And that's his question. Totally a valid question. And it's sort of what I was just teaching and alluding to. Like, there's no one size fits all, one way to do it every single solitary time. It's just contemplate however you would have a conversation. Do you know the person a little bit? Maybe it's better to send them a direct message. Do you not know the person at all? Then you can respond in public. If you respond in public, a whole bunch of other people will see it, and the iceberg technique is always at play, meaning one person left a comment, this is a beautiful piece, I love the colors. There were 10 other people that had that thought that didn't leave the comment, okay? That is the iceberg technique, and they just didn't say anything. So by responding to one person's comment, you're hitting the whole rest of the iceberg. And so I love the ones that you can do in public, but I also know, like, you could potentially put somebody off completely if you do it in public, right? Because they're like, oh, that was offensive. Why did you do that? I don't like you. So just play it, whatever social cues you have as you see fit. But I have since hit his comment on this reel, right? I've hit reply. And if you can see, instead of just a normal post button, there's this big blue lit up camera button here, right? And so I'm going to hit reply on this one. And what this is going to let me do is it's grabbed his comment, as you can see, and I can move the comment around, okay? It's turned on my camera, put it right above me. If I wanted to green screen here, instead of, me with the stupid green screen behind me, I could press this button. And again, I'm right back into the green screen thing, so I can go to my funny little chef image that I really like, okay? And then I've got his image right here that I could respond to, all right? And I can now hit that green screen button, which is essentially record the reel, and make a reel for him. So that's what I'm going to do. And when I do this, instantaneously, he is going to be notified. Instantaneously, it's going to save the reel in my Reels feed, and then it's instantaneously going to place it in the Instagram feed. So not only have I responded to a question, but I've also created a reel. I've also created something that goes into my Instagram feed. And if the iceberg thing is going on with this, like say this was a buying question for you, now not only does he see it, but we're sort of greasing the skids a little bit on letting everyone else know that this thing is for sale, right? But again, this is a little meta. I'm going to respond to him directly, but I'm really going to be talking to you guys at the same time. It's a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1. What's this guy's name? Sangria Loving Airway Doc. I'm not saying all that. I'm going to say Doc. All right, Doc, great question. Okay, great question that. And the answer to it ultimately is there's no magical way to do it. It's no different than having a conversation. What's the best way to have a conversation? It's situational, right? So you kind of have to just go with your gut instinct. If you feel like a DM would be best, do a DM. If you don't really know who the person is and you're not really sure it's a legitimate question, then do with the reel, right? Or you could potentially respond to an email if they're on your email list. There's no works for every situation way to play it. The important thing is that you do not ever let a buying question go without attempting to start a selling conversation. So I don't care if you do it via DM. I love the Instagram reel thing, just like I'm responding to your comment right now. Then they get notified, then everyone else sees it, the iceberg thing. So that's a fantastic way to do it, but ultimately it's up to you. The number one thing that you can do is do not ever let a buying question go without at least attempting to start the selling conversation. If you did that as the artist or the photographer, you've won, huge success, done deal. Thanks for leaving the comment. If you have any follow-ups, please do ask. I'm answering. So I click stop, click next.
All right, Doc.
Next. I could, if I wanted to, give this thing a title. I could give it hashtags if I want. I make so many of them, I don't even care. Instagram knows.
So this is essentially a question
So what
on
it's
how.
going to do now is it's going to go ahead and take, as soon as it's done uploading, it's going to take what I just recorded. It's now creating an Instagram reel with it, which will end up in my feed, which will end up in the Instagram reels, and other people will see. Now, I can admit some tradecraft at this point in time. I hate doing this because chasing what's working this week, it won't work next week. But as of right now, for whatever reason, and Lord only knows, right? Because Instagram and its algorithm and da-da-da-da-da. But this particular, and I don't know why it's not showing up. Get in there. Get in there. This particular technique or tactic, Instagram is really, really, really trying to push right now. They really want people doing this. And I can tell because I make 20 reels a day. And for some reason, the ones that I'm doing this with are getting way more action than all the rest. And I don't know why that is, and that might go away next week, but you know what? I might as well tell you because you're here and it's Friday, and why not? So you can see it's now in the feed, and there it is.
Okay, great
Replying to
question.
him,
And
I
the answer to it
answered his
ultimately is
question, and now for us, by the end of the day, 300 or 400 or 500 people will end up seeing that, right? So just like the iceberg thing is a situation for you guys, it is for us too. If that guy has that question, inevitably a bunch of my customers have that question. Inevitably a bunch of you guys who are trying to get your businesses going have that question. And now they're all going to see the answer to it. So look at the efficiency of what I just did, right? It gets better. It gets better. So now, because I created that reel.
All right, Doc,
come onto it.
Question. Okay.
God, loud, no, shut up. I come onto here and I press the paper airplane icon, all right? And the paper airplane icon pops up this little thing, and I can go add to story. And now I've placed the reel into my Instagram stories. So now this is an additional piece of content that I've created for the platform in a matter of just seconds, right? Just seconds. And so here it is. I'm going to change some background colors to spice it up a little bit. And I'm going to get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. I'm going to click next. I'm going to click share. I'm going to click done. And literally in a matter of just a few seconds, I've created essentially 3 pieces of content for the platform. And if I go up to my stories, you can see there it is. Is that it? It's not it. I made so many of these things today. I mean, I'm exhausted. There it is. There it was. Anyway, you saw it at the very end.
Question.
So what?
All right, talk great.
What an incredible.
All right, talk great.
ROI.
Question. Okay, great.
What an incredible ROI on one little individual piece of marketing activity, right? And you can also it puts a call to action on it on its own, and it like so. The easiest way to think about it is a reel can be up to 120 seconds. A story is not that long. So what the story does is it automatically grabs the reel and basically turns it into like a trailer for the movie. You know, you have the trailer for the movie, kind of tells a story. Then, so in the story, the reel is in there now. And I'll have to click through all of these. And what you can do is if you click on it, it says watch reel and it throws it in there for you. So there's already a call to action there. But what's incredible about that is like in very little time, multiple pieces of content for for Instagram. And guy, that is just so insanely powerful. And it's like such an incredible way to respond to a potential buyer, turning it into a selling conversation. And that is just it is just an absolutely fantastic way to market. And in addition to that, like, none of you guys do this enough. Oh, none of you do it enough. If I could just get you doing this like a couple times a week, when you turn these things into selling conversations, you are going to sell more of your art. That's it. That's all there is to it. And between the green screen and between responding that way, that gives you like a number of different ways in which you can really, really, really level it up. And your job, you don't have to be salesy, you guys. You can be you, do what you like, use the language that you like, as long as you let them know that the artwork is indeed for sale and it is indeed up on your website. So that is my session on turning buying questions into selling conversations. I don't really have anything else to rant on. I've got Mark saying, can we get back to the basics of what Art Storefronts is for those of us that have absolutely no idea what the company is about? No, Mark, that would be convenient. Why would we want to do something like that? To answer your question, Mark, we do 2 types of sessions. I don't know if you were on the beginning of this, but we do one where I rant about marketing and take Q&A, and then we do one that walks you through the whole everything that we do, the products, the plans, the pricing, show you the front end, show you the back end, all of that stuff. So this one is more just a meet and greet rather than get into the weeds, but you can certainly ask any question you like. So let's do that. Let's get into Q&A and how does that work? And then not only that, I should mention also on here, so you don't have to hear it from the company mouthpiece, i.e. me, okay? We actually have an Art Storefronts customer on here. So what is your name, ma'am? Do you want to introduce yourself?
I want to hear you say
it. Is it Andrea or Andrea?
It's Andrea.
Well.
You've never said it right.
I know. I do this to her every time too. So she's a customer. You can ask questions of me, company, corporate mouthpiece guy, or her, and we can answer any questions you want. And so how does that work? If you're one of the brave ones that has your camera on and you have a question, all you have to do is raise your hand. I'll see that. I can unmute you, bring you on. For everyone else, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's like a little smiley face and it says reactions. If you click that thing, there's a way to raise your hand digitally speaking. And you can see I just did that. That lets me know, hey, this person has a question and sort of gives me a cue. And we can go from there. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. Okay, you can ask via audio. I have a face for radio. I know that works. I wouldn't turn my camera on if this was my job. You can also leave comments if you are one of the ones that's watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. We can do it that way too. But all I need is one brave person to kick us off on a Friday. Oh, see, Joy, that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I was looking for to get us going. All right, you're up first. You'll need to unmute. Sorry, Joy. You'll need to unmute. I got distracted there for a second. Mic icon. Yep, gotcha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? Okay. So one of the tools that they talk about using in the storefront is the framing tool, where people can see your art framed.
Yes.
Say I sell an original piece and they want it framed.
Yes.
Do I send that piece to you and you frame it? How does that whole system work?
Good question. Great question. And I'm going to have to go a little long-winded on this one because there's layers to this particular sandwich. There's layers to this particular cake. If it's an original, you wouldn't send it to us. You would just ship it directly to the customer and they would get it framed locally. And to be honest with you, that's how it happens 90% of the time, maybe even 95% of the time. What's happened in terms of attempting to sell frames online, and I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about every single solitary frame vendor on the planet, is that they've all lit a tremendous amount of money on fire because almost no one does it. Framing is like such an individual, personalized situation in most cases that the purchaser of the work usually wants to take it to their local shop and get it done. That's one layer, and that's just fact. And what we've found is, do we have this awesome framing tool? Yeah. Do people occasionally buy frames and use it? Yeah. Is it really important to have? Because what it does is it gets the final buying decision a little bit less like, I don't know what it's going to look like in a frame. Well, boom, now you do know what it looks like in a frame, right? And so having the entire thing visualized is really, really important. But in terms of framing in a macro, most of the time they want to do it on their own. Unless the next layer is, I'm an artist that shoots my work a certain way, that paints my work a certain way, and I only like it in this one frame. In that case, I've seen people sell tremendously well on frames because it's like you're saying to the buyer, I'm the artist. This is how I frame things. This is how I like them to look. This is how I'm selling it, in which case people will sell frame stuff all day long. But if it's an original, up and until they invent an AI magic carpet, it'll always be incumbent upon you because you're the one that's in possession of it, right? But for all the prints, no problem. Like, boom, it can get framed, it can get shipped to them. You don't have to lift a finger, and so that's fantastic. But no one has cracked that framing thing in the slightest. It is like, and I think it has to do with just, one, it's a deeply personal decision. Two, there's nothing like seeing it in person. Three, they're insanely expensive, right? So a lot of times what our customers will do is make recommendations to the buyer on how they like to see things framed. And I find it's like, if somebody's buying like a $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20,000 original from you, you can get on a video call with them and walk them through framing options, right? That's a great use of your time. So that's what we kind of recommend customers do, is like have a video chat with them, potentially in your studio, wherever you're working, and say, here's a couple that I have framed. This is a frame I absolutely love. Here's the manufacturer of the frame. You could probably get it in your area where you located, and like have that conversation. But again, do you know what the hard thing to do is?
Get it sold in the first place.
Speaking my language, Joy, selling the art. Do you know what is not hard? Everything that comes afterwards, including the framing. Just the selling it part is hard, right? Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Who's up next, guys? I see a lot of
question in the chat, Patrick.
What kind of variations are available if you host a website for me? I would like to sell prints. Yep, we do prints, but I would also like an area to put surface pattern design portfolio that art directors could have an access code to look at. Yeah, that's possible. And you could have a blog. All the above is, Lisa. We have all those various different bells and whistles. You can do, any of those things. So all really, really easy, including selling merch. Okay. Don't let me go. Let me go. Okay, I'm working on my names. This is not exactly an easy one, and I want to get a shot at it. I want to think about this. Dear. Vaishali.
Vaishali Pundir. Hi, everyone. Thank you, by the way, for this session. Very interesting. Learned something new on Instagram today. Awesome. I'm going to implement it this evening.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Patrick, I had a question for you. I just recently, I don't sell art online in the sense I have a website, but it's like there's no cart or anything. I want to ask you, I got some of my pictures printed, and it was not like the frame, the print was fine, but the way it came, the roll was not nicely packed, and they're they're markings on the side of the poster. It was a poster print, and they're marking on the sides of the poster. And of course I called up the company, and they're resending me. But that's the thing that I don't know how it works. I mean, I just found out about Art Front yesterday, and I
Yes.
spoke to Reed, and he talked about it. So how does that work? I mean, how what's a customer like? A policy about returns and like
Yeah.
reprints or something.
Great. So, full disclosure, we've been having a pain in the butt with the rolled prints in one of our vendors recently. So there's been a sticking issue for us. It seems like it's a sticking issue for all of them. But the beautiful thing about who we've partnered with, and it's a consumer huge one on the West Coast called Bay Photo. Everyone knows, huge brand. It is a non-consumer facing one on the East Coast called Graphic Dimensions. And how it works is you sign up, you pick which one you want to partner with, one click, boom, you're integrated with that one. All of your orders go to that one. The cool thing is that they print and ship in such demand that if anything is wrong, they don't care. They don't want it back. They don't need to see any photos of it. They'll be like, okay, I'm sorry, it's on me. And they just print and ship another one. And they just print and ship another one. That's it. So it's never on the artist. Have you had any problems, by the way, Andrea, with the rolled prints?
I haven't had any. I'm with Print Partner in Canada, and they haven't sent me any rolled stuff. Everything's been flat. So
everything's been flat for you, and you're right. Yeah. You're with the Canadian one. So that's how it goes, because they're doing such volume that they just take care of it automatically. But it's still annoying when it happens. But the good news is that when you're prepared for it, I am so sorry that happened. It does happen from time to time with shipping. They will immediately print and ship a new one. The tracking number is on its way, and that's all you have to say, and you're good.
And just one last question. Do we get to choose which, how do I decide which company I want to go with for my printing? Because I really, the paper side, the paper quality is different, inks are different. How is it going to look, the hard copy of it? Do they send samples out or something like that?
Yeah. So within reason, there's a ton of crossover between the two of them in the various different media types. Like each one has 10 different papers, 10 different canvases, a couple of different metals, a couple of different acrylics, a couple of different woods. Bay Photo is a little bit bigger, sexier of a name from a brand. Graphic Dimensions is a little bit cheaper on some of the prices. You pick. But in terms of like quality, they're both at the very top of the quality game. They're all using the exact same printers, the exact same inks, exact same media types for the most part. So you're not going to have any quality issues. It's not something that we normally run into.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah, thanks. All right, guys. More questions? Anybody? I'm going to start picking on you guys individually with the cameras on, okay? Lindsay, you look like you're close. Oh, Joy's coming back. You were saved by the bell there, Lindsay. I was coming for you. Joy's going to step in, and then I'm coming back to get you.
Okay, this question's for Andrea. So you made that leap as an artist to get into art storefronts. What were your things that were holding you back making that decision? And how quickly were you able to get through the process where you felt like you were selling or getting the type of recognition you need to feel good about that decision?
Yeah, this might be interesting for Patrick. There were a few barriers for me to start with. The marketing is intense, right? Like they push really hard, and I'm from Canada, and we have like a whole different sort of ethos of marketing here. There's no hard sell. So that was a little bit jarring for me. I was like, this is a scam. But they just had everything I needed, and I kept kind of coming back to them because they had like the cohesive thing, right? Like I wasn't going to have to piecemeal a website and then some marketing strategy that wasn't for art and then figure out how to tweak it for art. I figured that would just be so time consuming and confusing because I'm not a marketing expert. So I just liked that it was all in one place. There was a community of artists there that all had the same mindset. We were all kind of moving towards the same thing. And then the other thing was the price. It's a lot of money. I had a wedding photography business. I lost everything during COVID. And that's right when I was looking at this as kind of a pivot. So it seemed like a lot of money, and I was wary of losing more. So I did a lot of research. I emailed people who were using art storefronts. I found people who were no longer using art storefronts and asked them why they left. Everybody who had left was still very happy with art storefronts. Their life had just kind of blown up and they didn't have time, but they said they would come back. So I was really impressed with the number of like really positive responses I got from people about the company that said that they were delivering what they said they would deliver. So then I took it to my business mentor and I walked him through everything, all the features, all the support, all the marketing, and the cost. And he just started to laugh. And he was like, the website alone with all of those features would cost you 5 figures. So this actually isn't a lot of money when you consider how much you're getting and you're starting a business. It's not a hobby. You know, and I remember my last brick and mortar business, it was 40 grand just for the stock in a tiny store. So it kind of switched my mindset and went, right, I'm starting a business. This actually isn't a huge investment for that. So that's when I jumped in. And they certainly have delivered and kind of over delivered on what they promise. The support is like nothing I've ever seen any company ever have. Like the face-to-face stuff, the fact that the head of marketing knows my name and teases
Sort of,
about it.
allegedly.
You know, but like that means so much. And when I'm working and I kind of, you know, businesses go in fits and starts. There's like you have a big growth section and then it plateaus and you feel like nothing's happening. And before I used to get into this cycle of like, there must be something wrong with my art. I don't know what's going on. And I would just get stuck and discouraged. But now I can jump on a Zoom call and be like, okay, this is what's happening. And I can get actionable steps to move forward rather than getting stuck. So that like constant sort of care and personal touch of like moving me through the challenges of a business has been so valuable to me. And I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, as artists, I don't know if we're ever really comfortable. We're always striving for more. So I don't know if I've hit a comfort zone. I don't know if I ever will. I'm working super hard. I get so many ideas that I never had before for like how to build in different ways and find new audiences. I'm just going and I'm so encouraged. It's kind of cool. Like just last week, I was doing something that was mindless. So I played one of the workshops in the background while I was doing it. And I picked up like one little tip about growing your Instagram following. And my Instagram following this week is up like 15% over last week. It's so just like you get a little tip, and because you've got all these experts just dropping information on you that you didn't know. So it's just been really positive, you know. I mean, starting a business is always hard, but now I have help. It's the first time I've started a business while having a full-time job because I had to work because of COVID. And it's also been the easiest startup I've ever done because I feel supported. So
but you're still in the worst time of it, which is the first couple of years.
New.
Which by the way, you'll notice there's no hard sales pitch coming from me. And I didn't take any umbrage at that. I will tell you honestly that the first couple of years suck. They are really, really hard. And one of the things that I get so infuriated about is this notion out there that somehow because you created art, you're going to just put it up somewhere and fish are going to jump in the boat and the light switch is just going to turn on and let there be light. Like, no, it's hard. Andrew, you're struggling. You're still trying to figure it out. You're still getting there. The difference that we have that I think sets us apart from anyone else is, like she said, the support, which is support, encouragement, community, borderline harassment, and antagonization sometimes bribery. We'll do whatever it takes to try and keep you guys moving forward, because the number one thing that wins is the persistence and continuing working on the marketing and being real with the fact that like there is no artist that just starts up magically anywhere and has a huge business in a couple of years. Like that is not the way that it works. You show me a successful artist or a photographer and I will show you someone that has probably been grinding for 10 years, right? If not longer in some cases. But it just takes years. And I think independent of all the marketing tactical, like it's more important. It's almost more important the community and the support in the realization that like you're a solopreneur. This thing's an emotional roller coaster. Our job is that when you're on a down to give you a kick in the pants and keep going. That's it. Like summing it up, that's probably more important than anything else is, you know?
Yeah.
I have two things to add, Patrick.
Yeah.
When I was in my like researching for marketing, because I knew that was the key thing that I was missing, you stood out so differently. I watched something of yours. I don't remember how I found you, but every other marketing plan that I was looking at made these promises like, do these 5 steps and you'll make 6 figures in your first year. And I was like,
I hate it.
You don't know me.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm selling. You can't make that promise.
No.
And then you said, I will never forget it. You're like, the first year is hard. It really sucks, but we will be there and we will support you through it. And I went, okay, I've started a lot of businesses. The first year is always hard. So thank you for your honesty on that. And then you made a promise that was based on your behavior. So I knew you could keep it. And that was a huge difference for me in nobody else made promises that they could actually keep. So that was a big one. I forgot to mention that.
The community like, and the just keep going is so hard. And the perspective.
And
like,
then I learned to forgive you for your multiple kabillion emails, because what I noticed.
I'm trying to fix that, by the way. I'm trying to fix that.
Yeah, I know you don't like it. But here's the thing. So I noticed that once I joined, that ethos of the company didn't change. You didn't stop driving. It just changed from, like, it's not like you got my money and then you're like, great, we're going to go get more people. It changed to, how do we get you more sales? What do you need from us? Okay, I remember you talking about merch, that call. You're like, we're going to do merch. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. So there's just an ethos of driving all the time to like, how do we do more? How do we get better? How do we help you? So I totally forgive you for all your emails because you haven't stopped driving to help. So there's my 2 cents on that.
It's a problem, you guys. I apologize for the emails. I'm literally trying to fix this. You know, ultimately, I could try and shirk off some of the blame on that. But you know what? I run the marketing department. Damn it, it's under my silo, so I'm squarely to blame. And then I want to circle back to something afterwards, Marion, when we get there. Marion, you're up next, and then it'll go Deborah. Go ahead, Marion.
Okay, I'm an artist and have business, and I've got a different website right now, but I'm curious what your rule of thumb is if you have one. Number one, how many images do you suggest an artist have on a website? And number two, on your site menu, how many entries across the bar on the top?
Yeah, they're interesting questions. Neither one makes a huge difference at the end of the day. Like, it's not going to make you or break you, right? Like, you could have less in the menu, you could have more in the menu, you could have 10 images, you could have 200 images. What I liken it to in terms of an analogy is, let's not talk about art, let's talk about a restaurant. You've got a restaurant, and should there be 8 seats at the table in 6 place seatings per table? And a shorter tablecloth or a longer tablecloth, or how many pieces of flatware on the outside, and what size should the dinner glasses be? You can worry about that. Or what size the menu is, how many pages it has, how many little lines on it. You could worry about that, but the problem is that there's no one in the damn restaurant. So why are we worried about that? We shouldn't be. We got to go get outside of the restaurant, start screaming and yelling at people and get a hook. Because until there's enough people in the restaurant, we're never going to know what that right number is. We're never going to know if there's any significance to it whatsoever. So my advice is pick one on both sides and start marketing. That's how you grow the business. And this is a regular thing I do on, like the one that comes up all the time that gets my blood boiling. And when I say boiling, let me tell you boiling. I will routinely have customers that will spend in upwards of like 20 or 30 hours sorting out how they're going to handle international shipping. And then I ask them, have you ever gotten an international order? And they're like, no, but I got to be ready and No! Hardest thing to do, get the order. Easiest thing to do, everything else, right? So these are the types of things that like we bang on about all day long, and it's important, right? Like, when you have the experience of doing this for a long time, you realize triaging is a very real and important thing in a business. And there are certain things that are important in the short term and not important in the short term. And if you focus on the ones that are, the business grows. Otherwise, it's a hobby. So we get pretty fired up about some of these things, me in particular.
Thanks.
Yeah. More people in the restaurant, Marion. More people in the restaurant. All right, Deborah, you're up next. Go ahead, Deborah.
Okay, so we just signed up a week ago. I'm here for my boss. He's someplace where there's no internet, and since I'm doing all the work, I have to have all the knowledge.
Absolutely.
And I cannot tell you in the last week. I mean, I'm working on gathering images. This is very intensive. I'm not going to lie. This is a ton of work, but I am beyond impressed by the outreach, the information. I mean, everything. You actually.
Oh, it's the boss calling. He got internet access.
That's him calling me.
Yeah.
After I told him not to, you actually lit a fire under him. He's creating reels now all the time.
Oh, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy.
He won't stop.
Good.
And I keep getting messages. Did you see the reel? Yes, I saw the reel because I get an Instagram,
so good.
Message from it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you not only for this opportunity and everything that this I think is going to bring us, but just to get him. I've been pushing him to market. He just won't do it, and now he's doing it. And thank you.
No,
thank you.
That's awesome. And Deborah, it's supposed to be overwhelming at first, and it's going to be overwhelming for a long time.
I'm not overwhelmed. I'm just aware of how much work it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just plowing through it. And the woman we're working with, Tiana, she keeps emailing me. I haven't heard from you. And I said, I have to gather all the images. I have to check the resolution.
Yeah.
I went through this week over 500 CDs of work.
Oh, wow. CDs is real slow business.
Yeah, I have to, because now I have to use 2 laptops and and the CD player that Apple no longer sells or supports.
Yeah, lovely. I know. It's crazy. The world is moving quickly. You need to get all those off CDs anyway, though, because those decay. We've got to get them onto a hard drive.
Yep, but thank you. I'm very impressed, and I can't wait to see what's next. I really can't.
Call them back and tell them to make more reels. Tell them I'm watching.
I will.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. I mean, hilarious. Funny things that happen during Zoom calls. He's off without internet somewhere. he's calling on the other line. It's really, really funny. Okay. Sheila, you're back up again. Vishali. Don't worry, I haven't got Andrea's name in about 6 months. So when you come, let me tell you, we're talking at least a year here.
Patrick, I had a question. So how do we know what other artists are using an art storefront? Like if I want to see, I know I got some sample work, but when I go to a website, like right now I use Squarespace and it says powered by Squarespace, yes. Right? So how does that something like that is that obvious from other sites that are using storefront? Like,
I mean, once you know what they look like, it's obvious because they all look the same, right? We do have one of those tiny little badges, I do think, at the bottom, but not everyone really sees it or notices it. If you ask your Reed, you said you were talking to just tell him to send you a list of customers, and he'll send you a bunch that you can look at. All the websites, for the most part, all look the same, and this is another one of these things that gets me so fired up. Because if I asked you what is the best way to sell art, right? Like what is the paradigm, and the notion of the paradigm is like what is the standard that everybody accepts as the best way to buy art? And you would say, well, okay, that's easy. It's obviously in an art gallery, right? And what do we notice about all art galleries and all museums? They all look the same, right? It is just the art on the wall with lights and nothing else. And yet when I look at all the rest of your guys' websites, I see slideshows and colors and fancy fonts so much that if I saw any art, it would be a modern day miracle. So the majority of our sites look about the same. There's this like little proud member of Art Storefronts thing at the bottom. I don't know why his is not in the center. But he can send you a whole big example read can of like a bunch of different ones to look at. But the sites are very minimalist. You know, the majority of our themes are very, very minimalist. They are meant to utterly, totally, and completely mimic the experience that you would get if you were in an art gallery or if you were in a museum. And obviously we have all the bells and whistles and features. I have like 9 million things going on my computer right now, so it's running a little slow. You know, we have all kinds of special things and features and wall previews. Yeah. Reads, I'm sure, showed you. It's kind of fun to play with sometimes. But.
And if suppose things are going slow for me and I decide to suspend the account for some time and like, you know, I just like, you know, different direction, getting, and maybe put a stop for 6 months and restart. So would I have to pay the fee, like the
No, we have like some sort of like hibernation mode $3 a month plan thing.
Oh, okay. Good to know that.
They're like we're not big corpo machine yet, which is kind of nice. So there's a human being that you talk to on the other end. It's like, hey, what's going on? Well, this is going on. All right, let's figure out a way to solve it. And, you know, they'll solve it. They'll work with you on it.
Okay, good to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all.
My pleasure. Yeah, including the cancellations and like in a bad economy. You know, the cancellations definitely have been increasing a little bit from where we were. It used to be like one of the lowest in the industry. And going back to that like expectation thing and the marketing thing, like, and what you said, Andrea, what I really loved is like, even the people that quit are like, you know, as long as they quit and they know I'm quitting because I didn't do any marketing, then it's still a win, right? Like that expectation of there's not anywhere you can go where someone is going to sell your art for you. It just doesn't exist in today's day and age. Let me define that. Cycle through the options because I think it's important. Let's say everyone's got a different definition of success. So in order for my argument to hold water, I want to give one. Gross sales of $100,000 a year. Let's say we're defining that as success. Let's say gross sales of $100,000 a year in an art gallery. All right. Let's say there's 3 ways to make a successful art business in today's day and age, with exceptions, because some people have 65 different revenue sources. I'm selling books. I'm selling courses. Let's just say selling fine art, okay? Originals, merchandise, and prints. If you had gross sales of $100,000 in an art gallery, you take a 50% haircut. Now you're down to $50,000 a year in revenue. And then out of that, you subtract your bills, your paint, your cameras, your trips, your tripods, your studio equipment, the rent, Now you're down to $40,000 or $35,000. Even the amount of people, of artists that are in that bucket, that are doing that in an art gallery, and also you don't know who's purchasing your work because the art gallery will never tell you. That's like less than 5% of artists and photographers that are selling. So let's turn that into like a living wage, a higher living wage, and let's triple it. And let's say, so you're going to be selling $300,000 a year in a gallery, and your take home is going to be $150 minus your expenses, and let's say you're at $100, just to keep the number simple. Okay, that's a great living. That's less than one tenth of 1% of artists. That's how small those numbers are. The odds of that happening are sort of akin to someone you know that plays sports versus someone you know that's a professional athlete in a professional league, right? The odds are not exactly great. So, okay, that's the gallery thing. Let's just table that at a macro. The next is being a road warrior. And the road warriors are somebody that does 30 to 50 shows a year, or 25 to 45, some number in there, right? Hitting the road, packing it up, paying the booth fees, standing for 8 hours a Saturday or Sunday on your feet, having your wares and merchandise. That is an extremely viable way to do it. It absolutely is. There's a whole lot of people that are doing well over $100,000 a year gross as a result of that. But man, is that hard. It's hard on the body. It's hard on families. It's hard on everything, right? It's a very, very difficult way to do it. Then the third way is this notion of selling direct, right? And it's absolutely the best way for a number of different reasons. And it's actually the very simple way. Simple, not easy. And that's where I get back to like the expectations of a couple of years of you being at it and grinding and doing the marketing work. It gets simpler and simpler and simpler once that happens, because you get the ball rolling. You start getting through those tough early years. You're starting to turn buyers into collectors. You know, you've been through a couple of fourth quarters. You know how to run sales. You start testing your subject matter material. So it's an awesome thing. I don't even know why I went on the tangent now. It's an awesome thing, but I don't care how you get there. I don't care what combination of the three, as long as number three is a huge part of all your businesses, because you have to sell direct, you have to know who's purchasing your work, and you have to do your own marketing. There's not any other way I've seen any artist make any money. Like, period. That, you know, that's not like something esoteric or weird, or like, you know, they're a unicorn 1 in a million. Like, I've had 3 of these sessions a week for like 3 years now, and the most I've heard somebody making on one of the marketplaces, Saatchi, Fine Art America, Redbubble, Etsy, is like $60,000 a year. And that was like 1 out of 10,000 people that's on there. What is the normal refrain? Oh yeah, I've sent my art up to the marketplaces. It doesn't matter which one. You're just not going to make any money, because you're drowning in a sea of 10 million other people, and you have no control, and you don't know who's purchasing your work. So when you contemplate the routes, and don't take it cynically, I don't care if you sign up with us or not, no one is ever going to market your work for you. Got to get over that. Once you get over that, you realize that the future of your art, your photography business, is 2 trains on 2 tracks. There is the subject matter material that you create, okay? How good you are at it, how defined your brushstrokes are, what your techniques are, what the subject matter material is, you know, what you're shooting with your camera, Andrea, like where you're going. That's a train on its track. It's got its own velocity. Sometimes it's roaring. Sometimes it feels like there's been a train derailment. Sometimes it's going really slow, but that thing's a train on its track. This other one is how good you, the individual artist, are at promoting yourself and your work. And you know what? There's just as much art form to this as there is to this. And when you realize you only have to worry about these 2 trains on these 2 tracks and nothing else, you work on this one until you're over this one, and then you work on this one, but you make sure either train has no brakes. That is the path for success. The good news is all of you guys have the rest of your lives to figure this out, meaning there's a lot of time left. I routinely get people on their 90s in this Zoom call asking me for advice. So you've got time left, right? I once had a 96-year-old guy call a 91-year-old guy a kid and told him to get going on one of these. The point is, like, artists and photographers, you don't turn it off, okay? I don't know whether you believe in God or what. This is how you were made. You don't turn it off. It's with you for life. And so when you have that perspective, and you know you have to, you know, work in the copy room and push the cart in the early days, like, it's okay. You get it. Like, you know, there's going to be years and years and years and decades and decades and decades. And when you build the business yourself, you can never have the rug ripped out from underneath you. You're hot in a gallery 1 year, and then the gallerist decides, I'm going out of business, I'm retiring, or things have changed, your work is no longer in vogue. Boom, you get the rug ripped out, your business goes to a standstill. I saw that 25 different times during COVID. Terrifying for people. On the middle one, like, no one wants to do that road warrior circuit forever. It takes a special breed of human being to want to do that year after year after year. Now, if I was in my 20s and I was an artist and I had no wife and I had no mortgage and I had no kids, I'd be like, kid, get out there and go do that for 10 years right now, because you will build up such a roster of customers that you will have with you for the rest of your life. Like, the first episode of the podcast, I interviewed this guy who put 175,000 miles in 6 years on his van. He did that many shows, and now he has a healthy 6-figure a year business. And surprise, surprise, because he put in the pain, right? So this direct way that we're advocating for, it's fantastic. It just takes some years to build up. That's it. That's my rant. I'm not even sure if I was answering anybody's question there, but I'm fired up recently on this perspective thing. You know, I got a comment earlier, and I'm not picking on this person, but it's like, I've had a website with you for 1.5 years, and it's done nothing. And then I went and looked at their Instagram, and I went and looked at their Facebook, and there's one post the entire 1.5 years in Facebook, and there's like 6 posts on Instagram. It's like, are you coming to workshops? Are you listening to the advice that we're giving you? Are you running any sales? It was a rhetorical question. I didn't need to look. I know she hasn't done anything. So we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe that we have at large the best ecosystem for artists and photographers to survive if they're willing to do the work. Kind of doom and gloom for a Friday. I guess I need to like spice it up and be a little bit more positive energy guy today. I'm getting some looks from these people who are like, what's this guy talking about? Anyway, it's okay. I'll be bombarding you all weekend long on Instagram and everywhere else. Oh, good, Lindsay. You did an emoji hand raise. That's unconventional, but I will take that. She threw it in the chat. Most people don't do that. I love it. Go ahead.
You're mentioning buyers, and I'm wondering, do you see buyers across different artists, or is that not a thing?
Not a thing. It's not a thing. And the reason it's not a thing is, and most people don't understand this, and it's like, you know, the classic line here is, well, I'm just looking to purchase a list of collectors, And if you just had that list and you could sell that to me, my business will be huge. And it's like, no, it won't be. Do you not understand how it works? You, the artist, who you are, what makes you tick, where you live. Are you a dog person, a cat person, a parrot person? Do you like gardening? Are you a foodie? Do you work out at CrossFit? What makes you tick? Who you are as a human being? What things that I could potentially bond over with you because we have these shared circumstances. How your creative eye works is just as important as what the work looks like. It's a 50-50. It's why everyone's like, do I need to spend a bunch of time on SEO? Search engine optimization, i.e. people, there's a ton of rabid art buyers out there that are just searching Google for art and buying art. If art sells that way, it's 1 out of 100 pieces. It is so low on the totem pole. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Aside from like very, very small niches here or there. The point is that they need to know who you are, what makes you tick, as well as appreciate the work. And so the only way that happens is that you do marketing, you get that idea in front of you, right? Like, you know, even I have one like mega ritzy friend, and actually just went on vacation with him. It was also, I didn't pay for anything. Side note, they know every single solitary story about these artists that they've spent like $1 million, $1.5 million, $5 million a piece on, right? They have this like George Condo piece, and they know everything about this George Condo guy, what makes him tick, all the ins, all the outs. And I realize as they're sitting here telling me this, they've gone and met him multiple times, right? It's like people get bonded to the artists and the story as much as they do the work. So the only collectors that are going to come by are the ones that you've won, that got bonded to you, that are interested in what you're doing and what makes you tick. So that's kind of how it goes.
And when they buy, do we get to see who they are?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's your entire business. You own everything. It is your website, your URL. I mean, yes, it's our software and it's hosted on our domain, but it's your website, your URL. Every contact is yours. All of the email addresses is yours. You see 100% of it. When orders come in, you get paid, the printer gets paid, the order gets printed and shipped. And so, yeah, it's just your business. Like with us, the artist owns absolutely everything. Now, we do have transaction fees on the plans. I think they're like 5 to 15% depending on what plan you're on. But that goes to pay for the army of marketing people that are going to support you.
Good.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that unconventional hand raise. See? It's not something I've seen. So now you're on my radar.
I thought that was the directions you told us to.
Yeah, no. So there's like, it's just funny because you're the first person I've ever seen do it. There's the reactions thing at the bottom of the Zoom window, and there's like a raise hand button in there, which is normally how people do it. But see, you know what? Everyone else zigged and Lindsay zagged. Now I got my eyes on her. Okay, that's exactly how it starts. It's exactly that's exactly how it starts. But great questions. Have a great rest of your Friday. Who else, guys? Questions, comments, concerns? Could be anything about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be for me either. You can talk to Andrea, whatever her name is. We've like literally been on like 25 sessions together, and I keep doing this tour, and there's just no stopping. I enjoy it too much. Go ahead, Joy.
Okay, so back to the selling of the art.
Yes.
So I saw somebody talking about getting excited about building a crate to send their art. Mm-hmm. So is that something we're responsible for? If we do sell a larger piece, do we have to create the crate and responsible for the shipping, or how does that work?
Yes. Until that aforementioned AI magic carpet is invented where I could fly to your house, pack up the crate, get everything going and ship it out to you. Yeah, you have to ship it, unfortunately.
But do you have shipping people that you work through, or is that something I need to arrange in my hometown?
Yeah, so what we have is an entire private Facebook group of artists and photographers spread out all over this country and a whole bunch of others, and they all share information on these things. Like, which shipper did you use? Use Jimmy at this place. He's great. Here, you call him, depending on where you are. So that's everybody.
Okay.
Kind of, yeah. So
okay.
That's how it goes. But again, not hard.
Well,
not hard to do.
Restaurant first. That's what this is all about.
Exactly right.
Putting people in the restaurant.
Yep. Shipping, easy, no problem. Getting people in the restaurant, much harder. And getting them to come back. That's the true art, right? That's the true art.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. All right. Who else, guys? Any finals before we wrap her up on Friday? Nancy, I really like that wood background you have going on in there. That looks very comfortable. I would like to have If that thing has a patio, I'd like to have my aforementioned beer on that patio later this afternoon because it just looks cozy. I don't know what it is that I like about all wood everythings, but I dig it. Dig it. Okay, Bruce is up. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I would just like to say that, well, you need my video too, right?
If you like,
see.
if you're comfortable, don't worry.
There I am. Oops.
Yep. Hey, Bruce.
I just made my first reel. So,
awesome.
It was kind of a difficult process. I didn't even know reels needed audio, but I wanted to link my blog post to the images I was putting on my reel. And that was like really hard to do. It was easy to do the other way around, to link the reel to somewhere. But I guess I need to.
You can't link out of Instagram aside from the link in the bio. They give you one link, or I think it's 3 links now in your profile. But otherwise, you can't link in individual Instagram posts or live posts. You can drop links if you're in a direct message with someone, or like I said, if you want to make it your profile link. Let me just show you what that looks like because I've got it up here anyway. So you see, this is the profile tab on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, there's home, and then, this bottom bar. So there's like the home icon, the magnifying glass. I want you to go all the way to the person icon, and this is essentially your profile here, right? And so you've got your image, you got your follower count, your little bio description, and then it allows you a link there, right? So you can link in that, but you can't link anywhere else. And that's just how the platform goes because they don't want anyone leaving it,
I kind of gathered that, but I did. I think like there's a little thing you can put now, like a link, and then the link pops up. So it's there. I don't know if it's right or whatever, but at least somebody can see the link to the story. But yeah, I would like to do that. I mean, that's great. It goes to my blog story it ties to my images.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like would be great to market. But it's like, yeah, they don't want you to leave Instagram.
Yeah.
So
you have to. We have to. It's their world, and we're just living in it. And we have to be contrarian about that, though, because you know what? They have all the attention, and it's one of the most amazing things in the history of mankind because we have the opportunity to reach that level of attention without ever even stepping foot out our front door, right?
Instead I could make the video or the voiceover saying, here's my blog, that ties to this story or this content. Maybe that's a way around it. But I'm just learning about Reels. So, I mean, I've been on Instagram for a while, and I'm a photographer, a wildlife photographer. But it's it's just a learning experience when you've never done something before. So
trust me, it doesn't go away. I made 20 of them today, and it's a learning experience for me. And let me tell you, I'm not doing it for my health. I don't particularly. That's not true. I'm starting to enjoy it, and I'm getting good at it, and I'm finding ways to enjoy it, right? But again, we have to be contrarian about it, right? Like, one of the other ways that I say it is that we're all fishermen and we have to go to where the fish are, right? Like, that's our job, right? Like we want to get these eyeballs on our art. And again, that's where I do the 2 trains, 2 tracks. There's you and everything that you have to do to get great wildlife photography. And which, by the way, do you not sometimes have to suffer in that? Freezing, okay, muddy, bird pooped on you, all of those things that you have to suffer. That's how it goes sometimes. So too with making these reels and putting ourselves out there and getting attention. Like, sounds annoying, and it is sometimes, but you'll grow to love it. Trust me.
Yeah, photography wise, I'm good. I'm very good, and I'm also now used to be shy. Scared, terrified to talk in groups when I was young. Now I talk too much. I'm vulnerable, open, and I have my story down, my vision, my elevator pitch. I can talk to anyone about my art, in photography, wildlife, whatever. I do programs as well now. And but then, it's the marketing time. I can't devote. That's the problem I have. I shoot too much, and not market enough. So
yep, you're working on this train. Well, you've been ignoring
yeah.
this train. We got to get both trains moving.
Right. Correct.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Sure.
But I love it. You see how he's opened up and he's shipping these things? A year from now, he's going to be like so polished. He's going to be after my job. He's going to be doing all the presenting. That's how it goes, and I love it. Lindsay, back up. Go ahead.
Yes, that brought up something for me when I switched from graphic design and stopped that, and then I ended up doing photo. The reason I stopped that is because I didn't want to be on the computer doing web design, and I had no brain for that kind of attention.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is this still for me? because I am much like the previous
Bruce.
interaction. Yeah, Bruce. I am the artist, the photo maker, but to spend the time marketing, I need like somebody to literally say, this is exactly how you do this, or it's gonna fall off. So I have faith in this process, but I want you to be really honest with that type of thinking and creative side mentality.
Way better if you heard this one from Andrea.
Yeah. Okay, I can take that. So, having that like daily task of like, this is exactly what you need to do today is exactly what Art Storefronts does. So they have a calendar that the marketing team makes, and they release it once a month, at the beginning of the month. And it has a marketing task for every day, like what you post on Facebook and what you post on Instagram. They're not complicated. They're usually just a little short things. Sometimes they write all the text for you and you just have to add an image. So I really appreciated that. I trying to do it on my own before. I spent so much time just going, what the heck do I say? Like I have nothing else to say and I didn't know what to do. And now the tasks are clear. And because I'm getting all these tasks, it's like building my creativity. I'm like, oh, I could also do this and I could try this and I could add that. So it's actually built like some creativity into my social media, which before was just like a grind and painful. And I noticed like after starting with the calendar, I now get DMs from people saying, I love your social media account. It's so entertaining. I never know what's coming next. I look forward to your posts every day, which I never dreamed somebody would say. So that task list is really, really helpful, especially if you have trouble staying focused. And then they've also got Copilot now. So if you don't want to do it, you can pay extra and they'll do the lion's share of posting for you, which I just had for a couple of months and love because it takes that pressure off of being consistent. I just, for the first time, had COVID. So I'm just getting over that. So there was like a week there where I was like, posting, I can't make any reels.
I cannot believe you made it this long. And wow.
I know. I haven't even had sniffles for 3 years.
Wow.
So, but still having that posting happening when I get too busy and it falls off, that there's that foundation. And then I just throw in like the more creative stuff and the like personal stuff that I enjoy. Like here I'm out in the field and I'm shooting this right now. That's more fun for me. So like you have options that kind of suit what you need for support. And that's something that Art Storefronts has been really cool with. Like for years, well, as long as I've been on, people have been like, I don't want to do the marketing, do it for me. And I was like, that's a crazy ask. How the heck are they possibly going to do that for everybody? That's a huge task. And then they figured it out. It's crazy how genius it is, but it works really well.
Not all of the marketing, some of the marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like you
Like
still have to,
base.
yeah, you still have to share the basic stuff. But yeah, Lindsay, I think where I'm at today with like all my ranting today is like, I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know how you get there if you don't, like I don't want that. I don't want you to take that cynically, but like it's a thing that's been weighing on me recently. And, like when somebody quits and they haven't
Well,
done
the
any marketing.
alternative for me is just wait longer, right?
Yeah.
Because I've so long. So.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want you to wait longer, right? So I think I understand what you're saying about your brain. You just need to be taught. You need to come at it with like an open mind, and you need to be willing to put in some work. And if you do that, you'll get there. Because what ends up happening is like you're motoring along. You're like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. This sucks. This I don't like. And then you get a win, and you're like, woo, dopamine hit. That's nice. I got a win, and then you're humming along again, and then it starts coming, and then another one, and then another one, and then you wake up. It's 4 years later, and you have a business, and you're like, I don't even remember those days, right? It's kind of like my parents didn't let me go on my senior trip. Gutting, devastating at the time. It was to Mexico. All my friends had this blast. I thought it was the end of the world. And I'm clearly over it, by the way. Okay, 25, 30 years later, I'm clearly over it. But I don't even ever barely think about it anymore, right? It's like, it's kind of like when you have your first kid and you go through all that and you're like, oh God, I don't ever want to do that again. And then enough time passes and then you forget all of that and then you're like, okay, I'm ready to have another one. So it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, I believe we have the best ecosystem that exists to get you there. And you're not alone. There's, trust me, all artists and photographers for the most part are the same. They don't want to do the marketing. So you're in good company.
Okay.
I would say like it's overwhelming at first. There's a lot to learn. If you're like me, like I'm a perfectionist and an overachiever, so I had to do everything on that calendar and I had to do it perfect. Now it's been like 2 hours making a reel that 7 people watched when I first started.
That's what I feel like.
Right? So over time, I learned, and there's been a lot of encouragement from art storefronts to let that stuff go. Like that perfectionism is for when you're creating your art, but when you're marketing, like one, don't put that pressure on yourself that I did because it's just not healthy. So know that it's going to take time to learn it. And eventually, as you learn it, you can do more because things take less time and you figured it out. So there's like a process of ramping up. There's a lot to learn at the beginning and just take it as it comes and know that you don't have to know it all right now. I think I needed to like, okay, I have all this information. I have to nail it. And it's just not possible. But there's people to help you on the journey, which I've appreciated.
Thank you. Your answer kind of reflects where I'm at. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm going to send all of you a lovely replay of the video in case you want to watch any of the Instagram thing. I want you turning those buying questions into selling conversations, okay? The opportunities are going to, some of you guys are going to get one this afternoon. Some of you guys are going to get one tomorrow. I want you to grab it and seize it, right? Anytime you see any Instagram live that either I or the CEO's on, or you want to leave a comment, you have a question, we answer those things live all the time. So great way to get my attention or get Nick's attention if you're so inclined. Love to see you at another one of these. Love to have you subscribe to the podcast. It's called the Art Marketing Podcast. You can find it anywhere that you might find podcasts. I'll show you the logo, what it looks like. Looks like that. Totally free, totally awesome. Ton of great content on there. And we're releasing episodes regularly. I think my editor's out of town right now, but when he gets back, we're going to be releasing episodes regularly. And get a demo if you want to see the plans, the pricing, all the bells, all the whistles, and all of that. It's like an hour Zoom call or a little bit less. They'll walk you through everything. And yeah, hope to see you on the future session or on the inside or on an Instagram live. And I'm going to be following all of you all weekend long, and I want to see reels just dropping. You too, Nancy. Okay? Everybody's in on Nancy's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not doing any of these doggone reels. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna unmute you, Nancy. You have to press the mic icon.
Okay, my comment. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
I get discouraged working on art, and I've got all these pieces of art, and I don't know how to connect it with somebody to look at it. You know, I've had few opportunities, but then far and few between. So just having the option of being somebody's going to look at this makes me want to create something better.
That's
and
what I'm talking about, Nancy. That's what I'm talking about.
Because if nobody's going to look at it, I just get like, well, who cares? You know, maybe I should do something else.
For sure.
But I just get not in on the ground floor. But I want it's definitely making me feel more wanting to get my paints out and work on something.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. Well, I hope the rest of you guys enjoyed it too. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I'll send you the replay along in just short little amount of time. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate your time as well, and everybody have a